Today's episode is brought to you by Taft Law and its Franchise Advance Program, a one-of-a-kind program developed by your host, Josh Brown, to help entrepreneurs assess, convert, and grow your business the right way through sound franchise structures. To learn more, go to taftlaw.com and type Franchise Advance Program in the search bar.
If you think like, act like, or are trying to grow like a franchise, then the Franchise Euphoria podcast is for you. Hello and welcome everybody. Josh Brown here, and I created this podcast for one main goal: to help people who are trying to grow their business through franchising or franchise-like structures to do it the right way. I've been practicing law now as a franchise lawyer for many, many years, and I've seen it done the right way and the wrong way. And this podcast is not filled with a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo. Rather, I talk with real people, people who have been there, have done it, are doing it right now. And I also dive deep into specific topics related to franchising. So if this is of interest to you, you are at the right place. Enjoy. Hello, Mijo. Welcome to Franchise Euphoria. How you doing?
Fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy to talk to you. You know, I'm a juicing guy myself. So, you know, selfishly, I definitely like the juices. And you are, I believe, the founder, right, of Beyond Juicery and Eatery?
Yes, I am.
And you guys found that in 2005. So, you know, we're going back, 17, 18 years at this point.
Good golly. Making me feel old.
Make you feel old? How did you get started with it? Tell me about sort of your background, what got you interested? Because, you know, back then, I would say in 2005, you were probably a little early on the scene.
I was about, I say I was 3 to 4 years early.
What was that like?
I could see other places around the country starting for the juicing craze, smoothie craze started taking off, but it wasn't here. Like, we're in the Midwest, you know, we get snow and we have winter, but I can tell you, I started how this all came about. I look at it and go back to the beginning, and I'd have to say it happened when I started off washing dishes when I was 15 years old. I got to know what people did and did not like by looking in the bus tubs of what was coming back to the dish room, and I kind of use that same philosophy today, as I can look in the garbage can and see what people are eating or not eating. I went through my career, always going to the next step. I was a general manager of a restaurant by the time I was 18. I just kept always wanting that next position. Actually, I currently still doing the same thing, but I've worked every aspect of the restaurant business, and I ran into my girlfriend, fiance, wife, mother of 2 of my children, in Scottsdale, Arizona. She came out there. I grew up in Arizona, and she came into my restaurant as I was working it, and she came in 1 minute to close. And we hit it off, and she was going to graduate school out there, and she graduated and couldn't find a job out in Arizona. She promised me 27 years ago that she would come out to Michigan because she got a job out here. It'd be 1 year to get enough, work time in so she can get a job someplace else. So anyways, her father owned a restaurant, and I think that's what really...
So she grew up around it too.
She grew up around it. So I remember coming out here and telling her, and his name's John, I called him Johnny, that I wasn't going to work for him. And he, it was a couple of months into it, and he finally asked me to come help him one day. And I did, and it was crazy busy, more so than I've ever seen. And that night at dinner, he asked me to come back again the next day, and I told him I really didn't want to. And he said, "Hey, give it another try." And what happened is that was probably the smartest decision I ever made in my life, to go work for him. I always worked for corporate restaurants, and when I worked for him, I learned what it was like to stick the key in the door in the morning and lock it at night. He taught me what lights and air conditioning, insurance, payroll tax, Mother-in-law taught me the price of a straw and a napkin, and but most of all, what they really showed me what it was like to live a life and raise a family in the restaurant business. So I'm forever grateful.
What kind of restaurant did they have?
It was a bar restaurant. I call it as a bar restaurant with great food.
Oh, so it was up late too, right? I mean, they're not getting home till 3 in the morning.
Well, it was a unique situation. It was more of a breakfast place. It's in the Eastern Market, which has been there for 150 years. The name of the restaurant is Vivio's, which is my wife's name is Pam Vivio, and he started it back in 1967. I came in 1995. And I took the restaurant industry from the corporate side and brought it in and blended it with the mom and pop style. And we're still there today. So we're coming on 55 years with that concept, but that's not the concept we're talking about.
So what I'm curious though but Pam, your wife, okay, so the daughter,
yep. Is
she still involved with both? Because obviously she's co-founder of Beyond Juicery and Eatery, but is she also involved with Vivio still?
Yes. Yeah, she most certainly is. She's a go-getter.
When do you guys sleep?
When do we have time for 2 kids? Yeah.
I know. I've got 3 kids. I've got 3 daughters. Trust me. I get it. I mean, I'm so fast. I love people who have grown up in and around the restaurant business. It's like a different breed of people. First of all, I'm a foodie myself. I kind of grew up working in restaurants as well, but it just takes, there's just this mindset and work ethic. And, like you said, I mean, you sat there and you learned every aspect of what it's like to actually run a business, right? I mean, the thing I see a lot in franchising is people get all excited about the quote unquote sexy parts of the business where, they're the owner and they've got the business set up and people are coming in and, they're seeing them, but they don't realize that at the end of the day, there's just a lot of detail work that isn't glamorous that has to get done that really makes the difference between a profitable and unprofitable venture.
Yeah. I use the terminology always in between pant sizes from the beginning to like, when do you bring on basically a number 2? And being able to afford to pay them enough to offload some of your work. But yet you're not making enough money to pay for that person, or you take a decrease in your pay in order to make it happen. The true matter is you have to have a really good plan. And that took, probably a decade and a half to figure out as to having a better detailed plan of what's going on. I just walked out of a meeting to come to this one to where we have a detailed plan for the next 10 years.
It's always changing. It's always updating. It's like an ops manual, right? They're always updating and always changing.
Right. So back around 2000, I started seeing people throwing away hamburger buns and French fries. During that time, we were actually adding more plate coverage, making the plates bigger, giving more value for the dollar. But I started noticing at lunchtime they were throwing those away and trying to substitute salads for French fries or cottage cheese or sliced tomatoes or no bun. And I was asking, because I saw in the bus stop, and I asked the servers, I'm like, why are they not, is something wrong with the bun? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, let's go ask them. So I was going to the tables and I was asking them, like, hey, is everything okay? And they're like, yeah, at lunchtime, we just don't want to eat that heavy lunch. And I'm like, huh? And they're like, yeah, we kind of, when you eat the bun and you have carbohydrates, a lot of them, you don't feel so good.
Yeah, you want to take a nap after.
You want to take a nap. So, and I remember them saying, and you use the keyword feel. So my family's still out in Arizona, and my wife and I still have a condo out in Arizona, and we'd go out there periodically and we'd climb this mountain. It was called Camelback Mountain. And we'd climb to the top of it, take a few hours to get to the top. You'd start real early in the morning. And there was nothing better than a Sunday morning is to go up there. And then afterwards we'd go down, and there happened to be this juice bar down in the Phoenix area, and we'd go to it, and we'd order some crazy juice. I can't even remember what it was, but I felt different after I drank it. We drink a smoothie. I just felt different than, going and getting a burger after climbing a mountain. It was kind of a rewarding process. And so I come back home and my brain is spinning, and I'm driving up one of our main drags, and it hit me. there's no place to buy a banana. And I'm like looking at all the stores and like realizing there's not a place to buy a banana. There's no place to buy fresh food. And this was before Wendy's actually had salads on their menu. And that's when the idea was born of let's open a juice bar, and we're going to open it in Birmingham, Michigan. And that's what we did. We scraped together all of our money, put it together, and opened our first store in June 2005.
Well, so that was after, because I think you had said you started working for your wife's family's restaurant in around 97?
Like 95, yes.
Oh, so you did that for about 10 years before launching your own.
Correct.
Oh, that's great. Okay, yeah, so lots of experience there. So you launch in Michigan, and I got to see, was there any other juice bar around in the Birmingham area?
You know what? There's been a few. I couldn't even tell you their names, but they didn't last. And I've got to believe the reason why it did is I believe that we have a great product. I also believe that, you ask how I get all this stuff done is I have a great team. The team is able to, and even from the very beginnings, I still have a couple people that are on the team since back then. And I believe they really believe in the brand, and it comes from within.
Let me stop you there for 1 second, because I want to talk next about, the products you guys serve and your whole process and how you got into franchising. But, one of the hot areas right now that I just hear about all the time, and I'm always curious, different people's perspective is, we've got some issues in the labor markets, as you could probably tell. And how are you able, what do you think is the key to keeping employees to stay, to be satisfied, and to show the loyalty? I mean, I know loyalty's got to go both ways, but on the employee side, what do you feel the key is? I know you had mentioned that they believe in what you're doing, so I got to think that that's a part of it. But is there anything else other than obviously paying well, paying living wages and so forth? But what are some of the other key aspects that you have found to maintain that solid core team that you really, really need in a restaurant or any business to be able to grow it?
That is a great question, and I get asked that a lot. And I don't know if I have the absolute magic bullet for it, but people don't quit jobs, they quit bosses. And I've always been, but one of our motto is people are purpose. And people are purpose, and fresh is our focus. But the people part for me has always been, because in the restaurant industry, I always have worked with some really awesome people that I know when it was, when it's that busy Friday night, Saturday morning, lunch rush, shorthanded, there was these people that, really dug in and really, excelled. And I always said, how am I going to, those are the type of people that I would like around me more. So, and I realized what it was I have to paint a picture of what's in it for them. So, in some ways, I painted a picture of what's in it for them, which gave me more strength to go on and push to get to the next level. So, in some way I can make their dreams come true. Listening to them, that's just being really, really close to, what their needs are. There's other places out there that are offering more money than what we are, but it's also quality of life, and who's on your team. So, having a really good team, it means a lot.
Well, that's great. I mean, like I said, there is no silver bullet, right? I've never quite heard that, though. I love that. People don't quit jobs; they quit bosses. I think that's exactly right. I think there's been studies that will show that at a certain point, when people are making enough money, right? I mean, if they're making enough money isn't the determining factor as to whether or not they're going to stay. It's all the other things that are a part of it. And I think one of the challenges that a lot of people are finding is, what is that sweet spot between being able to find people who can do the job that's required? So you're getting things done, you're taking care of the customers, you're doing it in a way that works well on team, while at the same time trying to afford that person the perks and the benefits of being able to have the quality of life and being able to have those other things in addition to good pay, decent pay. Doesn't have to be the best. I think that's really where kind of like the sweet spot is. It's a really challenging thing, and it's very fluid, and it's really, I hear it all the time, just like you do. I mean, if anybody had the direct answer, that'd be a gazillionaire, because it's got such a human element to it. And it's also got an element of we're in a changing world. Technology changes everything, how people work, where they work, what they do. I mean, all those things are factors in it.
Yeah. I also believe it's putting the people in the right position. Some people are not meant to be in front of customers. That doesn't mean that they're not meant for the restaurant industry. And then there's some people that all they need to be is in front of customers because they're spectacular at it. They know how to start a conversation. They know how to carry a conversation. They remember their names, which is part of our training process. They know their kids' names. I always say the moment they cross that threshold, they've already made the decision to spend money there or to come in and purchase from you. Then it's our duty to have nothing but less than a spectacular moment. And that really doesn't cost us anything. Simple hello and goodbye, a genuine one, and getting to know them a little bit better. Growing up in the restaurant industry and the bar industry, I was able to learn how to, pair customers together where we've made lifelong friends. I've got lifelong friends from the restaurant industry that started off as customers and then now are best friends today. So it's the same thing in the QSR as well, just acknowledging them. I don't know.
Well, if you can combine, I mean, look, if you can, I believe with QSR, anything, with the quick service restaurants, the fast casuals, in and out, sometimes people think, oh, it's just about having great food. No, it's still about the experience, right? I mean, it's still about the experience and the expectation that the customer has coming in. And if you can nail that experience along with having a good product, you've got a really good chance of being successful. I mean, that's really one of the keys. I'm curious. So tell me, you decide to start the juicing bar. You obviously have a lot of combined experience and also individual experience yourself in, working for, with the in-laws, with the family, with the wife in the restaurant business. You yourself worked on the corporate side. So you're bringing a lot to the table here. Did you have a real set plan on how you were going to open this up, or tell me when you decide, hey, okay, it's 2005, I'm opening up a juice bar in Birmingham, Michigan. What did you put a whole detailed plan together, or did you just kind of open it up and then figure it out as you went?
Figure it out as I went. I opened it up as a really cool thing that on my way to work, I could have this place where I get my own smoothie and my own juice, which couldn't get anywhere else. So what happened in around 2012, I came into the restaurant, came into Beyond Juice, and they were actually juicing and putting them in an ice chest, putting they had 8 in an ice chest. I'm like, why are you, that's like $70 right there. Who's buying $70 worth of juice? And I'm like, that guy out there. So I went and I asked him, why are you doing this? And he says, well, because I'm going up north and there's no place that has juice up there. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, and he says, and I don't want to do it myself. And I said, does the juice last that long? He said, yeah, it lasts all weekend. I said, tastes good? And he's like, oh yeah. Happened to be going back to Arizona again. And I flipped through a magazine. In the middle of the magazine on the in-flight is a bottled juice. And I'm like, light bulb, we need to make a bottled juice. So starting back in 2014, we started creating our own bottled juice line. And I remember we were in the back of one of my other restaurants making it. We were going in at 4:00 in the morning, making the bottled juice and then supplying it to our one location. And I was like, man, one day we're going to get to 100 bottles. I think that's going to be really cool. I think on our last run, we did a little over 12,000 bottles in a run, which, it's surreal. Then I started getting people knocking on the door, I call it, asking me hey, how do I buy one of these? How do I get one of these? And I'm like, honestly, I really don't know. And then the knocks became so loud that I went to my attorney and I'm like, hey, how do I sell one of these? And he's like, franchise. And I'm like, what's franchise? I said, how much does that cost? And he said, well, by the time said done, he named a number. I want to say it's right around $100,000. And I'm like, I don't have $100,000 to do this. So he hooked me up with another local franchisee, which, by the way, was the best thing that I did in the franchise world. And I went to IFA, and I walked in there with an experienced franchisee, and he introduced me to a new world of entrepreneurs, a new world of, it was nothing to run into. I remember like, hey, this guy, so-and-so, he owns 28 Ruby Tuesdays. This guy actually owns TGI Fridays. This guy owns X amount of Church's Chickens. And he started off as a dishwasher as well. And I'm like, and the conversations that I was having, I'm like, I'm in the right place. This is where I need to be. We came back home from that. I came back home from that IFA meeting, and I said, hey, we need to open some restaurants. We got to prove out this model that we can do it. We can do it more than once. So we opened 4 restaurants in 14 months. We built out a commissary at that time as well with a retail outlet to it. And we started manufacturing. We've always felt that the difference between us and our competition is that we serve clean food as much as we can. And the things that make the difference, we know lettuce is lettuce, tomato is a tomato, but it's the sauce that goes on top of it. It's the sauce, the salad dressing that we make, our salsa we make. It's not pasteurized. It's no preservatives. It's fresh and clean.
Yeah, so we've spent a lot of time talking about just the juice side, but you guys are beyond juicery. So you've got other foods too. What are some of the other foods that you guys make?
We have wraps, salads. We have acai bowls. We do quite a bit.
But all fresh, right? All fresh, all clean type ingredients.
Yeah, it's where that and where the freshness and flavor come together. Because I always say it has to taste good. It has to taste good. And the object of getting to as fresh as we possibly can and having the flavor is our sweet spot. And when we get there, we get to see a gem.
When somebody comes into a Beyond Juicery location, what can they expect? Kind of lay out. I mean, obviously this is an audio podcast, but paint a picture here for the audience of what can somebody expect? What should they expect when they come through and try out your product?
When they come in, the first thing that you're going to, I call it, the way that you touch somebody is you have to make them feel it. So it comes in from when you walk in the door for the first time, you're going to smell and feel freshness, clean lines, clean decor, great service, the hello and goodbye, the touching the product being faced properly. We have a training program where we're constantly training our franchisees and our barista staff on any new and upcoming items, and just getting them to a level that's understanding that the customer can ask any question, and we have the answer for them. And if we don't, we get it to them very quickly. And the product tastes phenomenal. I love getting asked the question, "What do you like on the menu?" I'm like, everything. We created everything. I tell you, I never would have made the menu if it wasn't great. So,
and then tell me about, obviously this is Franchise Euphoria podcast. So we got to talk about franchising. You go through that process. You were talking about, you went to the International Franchise Association, which is a great organization, and you meet all these other franchisees. And by the way, I'm always struck, just as a side note, I'm always struck at the number of restaurant owners who started off as dishwashers. I really am. It's amazing. I mean, there's tons of them out there, which is truly, to me, the American dream. I mean, it's great. But you hear those stories over and over again, which is wonderful, which is obviously what you experienced there. What's this been like on the franchise journey? I mean, you've got, we just have a few minutes here left today. So, I mean, your story is much more vast than this, but we just like to give a little snippet of it. You started franchising in 2019, and then, you have now more than 30 franchisees, I believe, maybe more than that.
Yeah, 38 open.
38 open. Now, are they spread out throughout the Midwest? Are they all over the country, or where are they located?
Mostly located in Michigan. We have 8 in Ohio, and we just signed our 2 down in Florida, Tampa, Fort Myers, and Naples, which we're on a development schedule down there that we're negotiating right now that we should have something built out for the next 10 years.
And are you looking for franchisees who are going to come in and operate one or operate multiple units?
So we'd like the multiple units. The single ones are people that can, have the passion. They want to be the ones sticking the key in the door in the morning. But we're also looking for the groups that has the infrastructure in order to build out, and they see the vision, or they came from other franchise markets where they understand what it takes to, own 5, 10, 15, 20 stores.
What type of franchisees are you looking for? I mean, do you have a particular, I don't want to say a particular person because that wouldn't be the right question. It would be, do you have a personality traits? Do you have somebody with a particular background? I mean, what have you found? Or does it just run the gamut in terms of somebody who can come in and be not just a successful franchisee, but a good fit for your system?
There's a lot of questions in there. And I'll tell you how I determine is we came up with a set of core values for ourselves. And what I see is those core values that we came up with ourselves are actually core values that we see in our franchisees as well. The first one is called sweat the shirt, which is they're willing to go out there and bust their butt and, leave it all out on the field. The other one is do what others won't. And I have a story after story of do what others won't so soon you can do what others can't. I see it every day in my franchisee. I see it every day in my employees and the people, our team members here, of doing that. We put the round peg in the square hole. I love when people say we can't do something because that's perfect. Because in 6 months to a year, we're gonna be doing that, and you're gonna be scratching your head trying to figure out how we did it. And then the last piece is being the best part of someone's day, which goes back to just saying hello and goodbye. You never know when you're gonna touch someone, and that is my favorite core value, is being the best part of someone's day, from giving out a free smoothie or smiling at someone, seeing a kid. I love when people come in and they try our product and they take a Instagram or Snapchat or Facebook photo, and then they share their experience with the rest of the world. There's nothing more. I used to say if I used to get one good day out of the month where someone would come up and pat me on the back and say, "Hey, Mijo, you did a really good job. Thanks, everything was great." That was fulfillment for me. And I see that fulfillment in our franchisees and our team members.
So I know you've obviously had other restaurants. It sounds like when you started this thing, you had some other restaurant interests as well. I mean, are you 100% focused on this brand, or do you still run other restaurants?
So I own them, but I have, for instance, I have my brother on the Vivio side, and I have my brother-in-law working on the Vivio side as well. I've learned to put the right people in the right spots.
I'm going to ask you a question. I don't know if you've been asked this a lot, but I'm always curious about this. I'm a believer that when you are a franchisor, it's a different kind of entrepreneurship. There's the entrepreneurship to start and run your own location, or start and run your own 1 or 2 locations. And your focus is on those locations. But when you become a franchisor, yes, you've got to focus on those locations, but your real job is to grow it. And your real job is to provide that great support system for those franchisees who themselves are entrepreneurs out there trying to grow their businesses under your system. I mean, there's a huge difference between obviously running a couple restaurants versus running a franchise system.
So I have an answer for that. I believe every business has 3 key components of the leader or the owner. 1 is visionary. 2 is manager leader. And 3 is an entrepreneur. Now, when you're starting out, you have to be all 3 of those. And you could add another one, which you call the board of directors, but right now we'll just say for 3. And when you start out, the visionary is actually an artist. I believe I'm an artist. And I was juggling all 3 of those hats of being an entrepreneur, being a manager leader, and also being a visionary. Today, my role is strictly visionary. Paint the picture of the future and have the manager leaders implement the processes, policies, and procedures in order to attain that vision. And then the entrepreneur side is how do we fund that, and how do we grow and scale that business? So everybody, once you get to scale, is living in one of those spaces. I happen to be in the visionary space.
So what's the best way for people to learn more about Beyond Juicery and Eatery, and or to get a hold of somebody to find out about franchising?
you can go to our webpage, beyondjuiceryeatery.com, click on franchise, fill out the application. You're going to get a phone call from Anna, which is our franchise franchise development. We'll start you on our process, start asking you some questions, see how interested you are. I would suggest, like with anything that I've ever did, I'd dive into it, start talking to franchisees, get on our app, like us on all of our social media page, sign up for our emails, come visit some stores, try the product, get a feel for what we're doing. And is this something you can see yourself doing? That's what I'm going to dig out from you. There's going to be people that have money that come in and want to do it, but if they don't have a passion for the brand, like, you're not doing yourself any favors, or me or us. We want you to love what you're doing, because I believe if you do, if going back to how do I keep employees, is put them in the positions that they love to do, and it doesn't become work. It doesn't become, it's that thing you have to do every day. It's that's who I am. That's what runs through my body. It's my DNA. And when you can get somebody to do that, and I can pick those people out in a second, because they're not doing it for the money. They're doing it because they have passion. The money just happens to follow them.
Are you looking to go across the United States, or are you looking to be more regional?
I know that during warm weather, we do extremely well, and we come from basically 5 months of cold weather. Florida market is going to be a real eye-opener for us. I have high expectations. I'm from Arizona. So Southwest Arizona, we were at the MUFC. We got a lot of conversations on New Mexico, Nevada, Arizona, and we would really like to be there. I'm going to say that's probably a 2023, 2024 phenomenon. But conversations for that can start at any time.
Well, listen, it's been a pleasure to meet you, Mijo. It's been a pleasure to learn your story, and just a great story. And what I like, there's many things I like about it, but I like the fact that, you've worked in every area of a restaurant. And you've really kind of learned from the get-go how to not only run a restaurant, but how to really make it an experience that people enjoy, because ultimately that's the thing that brings people back. So thank you for reaching out and coming on to Franchise Euphoria, and I look forward to seeing all of your expansion in the future.
Yes, thank you. Dream big.
Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Franchise Euphoria. If you enjoyed it, please head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and review. It really helps to get this show out to more and more people. Also, if you have any questions, have ideas for guests or topics, please email me, josh@indyfranchiselaw.com. That's josh@indyfranchiselaw.com. And finally, please note that this podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes and is not in any way, shape, or form meant to be any kind of legal advice. If you're seeking legal advice, please contact a lawyer. Have a great one. Happy franchising.